There you go.
Good morning, Tom's River, Ocean County, New Jersey, in America. I'm Dr. Barbara Schneider, here live today on Radio Free America. It is Saturday, May 28th, 2022, and I'm here today due to the generosity of Dr. Michael Katchmar. This is his studio, and the technical expertise of Jeremy, who just set everything up so we could appear.
Yay.
For all of you who know me and for hopefully some new listeners, hi, Liz.
It's our girl Liz over there.
I am a board certified general surgeon specializing in the treatment of breast cancer and breast diseases. And here we talk about medicine and politics, which have become totally intertwined.
Yeah, synonymous almost.
Yeah, you can't know what's going on in today's medicine without knowing the politics behind it. Okay, before we get started on the riveting news of the week, I want to plug our local businesses, which are the backbone of the United States economy. And it is the local businesses that have been creamed by the pandemic and by the current administration. Good morning, Shawnee. Okay, to start, hey, Debbie, TSF disposal. You need a dumpster for your garbage, call them.
That's
You
right.
can get them by phone or online. No hidden fees, unbelievable service. Just remember, because of our great administration, there is a surcharge for diesel. All trucks use diesel. You can't get anything without a trucker bringing it to you, and prices are up because of the cost of transport.
Yeah.
Okay, diesel is now like $6.50 a gallon. That's more than double of what it was under the prior administration.
Yeah, they're saying that come summertime, the national average is going to be $6 a gallon.
That's for gasoline.
For gasoline,
And in the state of Washington, they have altered the gas machines to accommodate prices of over $10 a gallon. Okay.
6 and change at Wawa other day.
It is.
Sean said, yeah.
Yeah, it is an obscenity. In the face of a gas shortage, the President Diaper in the White House has not only canceled new oil and gas leases, he has put a halt on existing ones. That's called treason. And by the way, here's my shirt of the day, if you could read it, Jeremy.
Hi, Jeanette. Yeah, it says, helping the enemy used to be called treason. Now it's called being a Democrat. That's a great shirt. That's a great shirt.
Okie dokie. So
I hope you wear these on like other days too, because these are.
Well, they keep coming down the chimney like Harry Potter's invitation to Hogwarts. So anyway, Lakeside Diner. Brian Brandisi stood up to King Philip in our state. C&G Country Cafe and Tom's River Heating and Air Conditioning. That's the Petty family.
Yeah.
Please patronize them. Great service, great food. C&G has 2 locations. So for beauty needs, Frank and Maria's, Allure Salon, and Harmony Salon. Let me say it again. Don't say gray. Gray roots are not cool. And you need your nails done. You need to get waxed. You need all those beauty services. Patronize our local businesses because they're great. They're not back up to snuff yet because of the pandemic. You can change that. And I'll be at Allure later, early this week. So Ken's Hardware on Fisher Boulevard, and you have what? Taylor Hardware.
Taylor Hardware in Belmar. Joe that owns it, he just donated a beautiful Weber grill to be I guess the Rat is doing a contest for Father's Day.
Oh, how nice.
So Joe donated a beautiful grill, but I know I hear there's like a vacation involved too, and all this other stuff. So if you guys want to surprise your hubbies for Father's Day, keep an ear on the rat there and try to win it. Yeah.
Yeah, for Father's Day, we're lucky if Mort doesn't cook.
And go, yeah. And go to Taylor Hardware. It's the rat voted it the best little hardware store at the Jersey Shore. When you're in Belmar, hit it up.
You don't need to go to those big name places.
No.
You can go local.
And what these little places do is if they don't have it in stock, they will get it for you.
Absolutely.
You know, the individualized attention they give all of their customers, you're not getting that in the big corporate monsters like Walmart and all of that. They could care less about what you're doing.
So Brooklyn Bistro, a great neighborhood restaurant. The girls and I were there this week. As always, service great, food great. I love the place. The tiny greenhouse on Princeton Avenue in Brick for your house plants and plant care. The brewery and distillery, downtown Toms River, if you imbibe. And everybody needs to. Red Rose Bakery, awesome baked goods and bread. And after you gorge, go to Attila's Gym. That's a little to the west of here to work it off. It's a great neighborhood gym run by Ian Smith and his partner, Frank. Ian is running for Congress in the 3rd District against Andy Kim.
Yeah.
Please vote for him.
I love the stories where it's people from everyday ranks, running and trying to make a change because they see the corruption, they see how awful everything is. And that's what we always say on our shows, guys. We're the only ones that can make that change.
I'm going to cover that later in the show.
Oh, grand.
In the 4th District, please support Mike Crispy against Chris Smith. Chris Smith voted for this $40 billion deal of money going to Ukraine. I'm very sorry for the people there, but charity begins at home.
Yeah, it does.
And we need it here. In addition, we borrowed the $40 billion from China. Are you freaking kidding?
Are you kidding that? Are you kidding?
Where do you think the money came from?
What is going on?
Chris Smith voted for it. Now, recently, Mike Crispy was in Jackson attempting to sway voters. Since Chris Smith didn't show up because he's too busy being at his whatever in Virginia, and he never comes to New Jersey, they refused to let Mike Crispy speak or hand out flyers. That's un-American. The Jackson board, they're like anti-Trump, anti-whatever. I bet they voted for Biden. Get a grip. Anyway.
This is the new dystopic America.
Vote for Mike Crispy.
Yeah.
I think that anybody who voted for that bill should be voted out. It's not just Democrats who commit treason. It's rhinos as well. You get into Congress, you get all that money, get the heck out. We need Americans supporting Americans.
Yeah.
So,
guys, see, that's it sounds so great coming out of your mouth. We used to be like that, and we used to be like that from door to door to door. We need to be like that again.
Yeah, I'm gonna cover what happened, but no radio show can go without mentioning the disaster in Uvalde, Texas this past week. I'm sure there's no one in the country who hasn't heard what happened. 19 children were killed, as well as 2 adults in the elementary school in Uvalde. There is a lot of blame to go around. The teacher who opened the door and allowed a demented killer access. And remember, this is not about guns. It's about mental illness, no matter what the Dems and the rhinos say. So there was a poor and disastrous management by the local law enforcement in Uvalde. Now, all you know, I am a big supporter of the police.
Yes, we
I
both
mean,
are.
I have always said that they are our protection against anarchy. I've pumped the blue line, I've promoted it,
Yeah.
I have plugged everything. However, I'm finding it really impossible to say anything positive about the police response. They failed to protect children. Was it fear of prosecution by a Soros district attorney? I don't know. It's
What? Yeah,
inexplicable.
but like,
They
what stops you from running toward gunfire
fear
that's being aimed at children?
fear of prosecution.
My
The
God.
the local law enforcement waited for backup in the face of an active shooter, and then they lied about what they did. The facts are still coming in very slowly, and it just gets worse. Like kids inside the school were calling 911 for help. Um, I there's there are no words to justify what happened. And this was in Texas, where men used to be men, and they just stood there for almost an hour while children were being slaughtered. So very, very sadly, over the past 2 years, the police have been bashed. And that there's no excuse for that. But on the same page, there is no room for any errors by the police. Is that fair? No. Fair is a place where there's cotton candy and a
Right.
Ferris wheel. It's not fair, but there is no room for errors. The liberals are going to try and change this into an anti-gun rhetoric, and so will Joe Diaper.
Oh,
Excuse
he
me, Joe
didn't
Biden.
even bat an eye at that.
Oh, so Gene says the killer was in transition. All of the drugs probably made him nuts. You're probably right. And there was a tweet from Dana Weaver, the great anti-mandate lawyer in the state of New Jersey, saying that psychotropic drugs, either too much, too little, whatever, is having an effect on these mass shooters. That's no excuse for the mass shooter. I'm glad he was killed, because he was a monster. But
He shot his man in the face.
there's no excuse for his behavior. I'm glad he was killed by Border Patrol, and I'll bet it took Border Patrol an hour to get there because they were processing illegal aliens.
No, but the fact that they did go out there and they were the ones that did everything.
They were the ones who solved the issue,
Yeah.
but this is a failure of local law enforcement. And these are men and women who were members of the community. They had kids in the school. What were they doing? I can't find anything positive to say about what they did.
No.
And again, I love our local police. I always plug them, but I am unable to say anything good about these cops. I am so sorry. I grieve. I cannot imagine, and I never want to know the pain of losing a child. So, okay. So, the United States of America, my beloved country, things just keep getting worse. The Chinese have blackmail material on Joe Biden and Hunter and all those people. As I said, Joe Biden stopped issuing new leases for gas and oil production, and he has pulled existing leases. Alternative energy, green energy, is not ready for prime time, and it's currently more expensive than fossil fuels. This is treason to bring the United States down. There's no excuse. People are being unable to afford to drive to work. The truckers are being priced out because of diesel costs. No truckers, no supplies. No truckers, no food. No truckers, no toilet paper. I mean, really, really, that is basic. So um, the
Well,
brownouts, I don't know if anybody had a, brownout or a blackout or a power outage last weekend when it was 97 degrees. I did.
did you really?
Yes, I did. And people, brownouts, blackouts, power outages, that's going to become the norm
Yeah.
in no time at all. They have it in California where they depend on wind production from windmills in
Oh my
Wyoming.
God. You guys, if you want to know the nightmare those things are, Fox Nation, Tucker Carlson did an amazing documentary about the damage these wind turbine things actually do, not just to the environment,
To
but
the birds,
to the people. You
to the
know,
people, the birds. First of all, you need diesel to get the things moving.
I actually saw a video of one of these windmills completely destroy a bald eagle as it was trying to fly.
Yeah, all of a sudden the environmentalists don't care about the endangered species. It's not just the eagles, it's the condors, it's any of the, and the hawks, the birds that fly high. So this is a scourge upon America. We may be ready for green energy at some point in the future.
Mm.
It's not now. And Biden is obeying his Chinese masters to bring America down. The harm he has done in the last year and a half is beyond belief. He is the cause of inflation in this country. At some point, people aren't going to be able to afford food. So they're telling you to eat dandelions and roots outside your private homes. This is all planned. The draconian lockdowns in China also have a negative effect on the US economy, and they are holding barges in China because of the allegedly the pandemic. So that's also disrupting our supply chains.
Now, with China already giving us all that cash, right? You can tell. I mean, now we're seeing what the future is going to hold.
Can you imagine them calling in the note? I mean, they have us
by the short and curlies. Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that you can see right now in slow motion in this political BS that's going through Washington, through Biden, and associating with China, they're going to do a switcheroo, and everything's going to get so bad. It's going to pile up. It's going to pile up. It's going to get worse, and then China's going to come out of nowhere as a hero when we thought it was a villain, and we're going to do a switcheroo, and we're going to become communists. And that's the main agenda, I guarantee you.
So what is Biden's solution to this disaster he's created? One is to increase taxes.
Mm.
2, war with Russia. And 3, war with China. And yep, Debbie's saying she's been working on stocking her pantry. She's at the point where she doesn't trust anything. Yeah.
There's so much anger out there. I mean, she's right. The violence, oh my God.
So Biden wants more taxes, more war. And as my good friend, Dr. Sarah McGee would say, whiskey, tango, foxtrot. Americans don't want this. Where's Congress? Where are our representatives? Well, I have the answer. Oh, thank you. As I promised, members of Congress are in the business of staying in Congress. So let me tell you why they're in that business. So 1, the children of Congress members do not have to pay back their college student loans. Did you know that? Staffers of Congress members, their family members are also exempt from having to pay back student loans. Members of Congress can retire at full pay after only 1 term. Members of Congress have exempted themselves from many of the laws which they have passed, under which ordinary citizens like us must live. So one example is they've exempted themselves from Obamacare and healthcare reform. They got really good bennies. So the Convention of States has proposed a 28th Amendment, and they've proposed it due to non-passage of the Congressional Reform Act of 2017. Okay, so the 28th Amendment, there are currently 27 amendments to the Constitution. There are 5 others floating around which have not been ratified, but 27 have been passed. The 28th is what the Convention of States is proposing. And it states simply, quote, Congress shall make no law that applies to the citizens of the United States that does not apply equally to the senators and or representatives. And Congress shall make no law that applies to the senators and or representatives that does not apply equally to the citizens of the United States. So that's why members of Congress don't give a rat's ass about what we want and what we deserve. And the Congressional Reform Act of 2017. Now, let me think who was president when that, oh, the evil tweeter, President Trump. Okay, so what does that Reform Act say? 1, no tenure, no pension. A congressman or woman collects a salary while in office and receives no pay when they're out of office, and no more perks go with them. Okay, 2, Congress, past, present, and future, participates in Social Security. All funds in the Congressional Retirement Fund, now I bet you guys didn't know that existed. So all funds in the Congressional Retirement Fund move to the Social Security system immediately. All future funds flow into the Social Security system, and Congress participates with the American people. It may not be used for any other purpose. Congress people must purchase their own retirement plan, just as all Americans do. Congress will no longer vote themselves a pay raise. Congressional pay will rise by the lower of CPI or 3%. Congress loses their current healthcare system and participates in the same healthcare system as the American people. 6, Congress must equally abide by all the laws they impose on the American people, i.e., no more insider trading. Is there any now you can see why this didn't pass.
Right.
So
right.
7, all contracts with past and present congressmen and women are void. The American people did not make this contract with the Congress people. Congress made all these contracts by and for themselves. Serving in Congress is an honor and privilege, not a career. The founding fathers envisioned citizen legislators should serve their term, then go home and go back to work, not all get all kinds of freebies. So this is what new people elected to Congress must accomplish. This has to be passed, and this has to be done. So again, it comes down to how strong do we want the federal government and how strong do we want the states? So the first picture of the day is it's a picture of the American economy, and Joe Biden is saying thank you for flying with this all Democrat majority flight crew. I'm Captain Biden, and I want to take a minute to blame Republicans. So
yeah, right there.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
So it shows a plane going down fast under the leadership of Joe Biden.
Of course.
And this is
The name of the
exactly
airline is American Economy.
this is exactly what's happening. It is a power grab by the federal government. It is an attempt at diminution of individual and state rights. It is essentially a recreation of the war between Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton. And that's why these people, these liberals and BLM, want to erase history. Because if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
So Jefferson, I know they say all these terrible things about him because he owned some slaves and blah, blah, blah. Jefferson, who was the principal writer of the Declaration of Independence, was a great proponent of state rights, farmers and planters, small businesses, and individual rights. Hamilton wanted a very strong and overbearing federal government because he was essentially pro-British and I'm sorry, Liz.
Liz, that was fantastic. Thank you. 90% of Congress should be making license plates, not bills.
Yeah. So Hamilton was very, very pro-British. And the British system at that time was founded on the monarchy. And he envisioned a federal government that was just like the British monarchy, which was at the antithesis of what Jefferson and most of the founding fathers wanted. They wanted an experiment in a democratic republic and freedom. So Jefferson was opposed to a too strong national government. So we are now again in a fight for our Constitution and our freedoms against the global fascism and the World Economic Forum.
Mm.
And they have risen in power and influence, and they want to take over the world. And as I have often stated, it is a free and powerful America that has always stood against that. And that's why Joe Biden was falsely put into the White House to bring America down. So a couple of quotes from Thomas Jefferson. I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing and is necessary in the political world as storms in the physical. Unsuccessful rebellions indeed generally establish the encroachments on the rights of the people which have produced them. An observation of this truth should render honest Republican governors so mild in their punishment of rebellions as not to discourage them too much. It is a medicine necessary for the sound health of government. Now you read this and you think about the people from January 6th who walked around the People's House and are still in jail in solitary confinement. This is fascism at its worst, punishing people for their political views. These people did nothing wrong. You had BLM and Antifa burn down this country, causing billions and billions of dollars in damage, and they're all walking free. We cannot have two systems of judgment.
Mm.
So a second quote by Thomas Jefferson, very interesting. Remember, this is more than 200 years ago. The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers.
Mm.
Yes, well, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC.
I got a great quote to go with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a Groucho Marx quote.
Uh-huh.
Just about reading, but it's one of my favorites. He says, outside of a dog, a book is man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read.
Well, yeah. So the other thing is interesting. He has said, I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling futurity on a large scale.
Mm.
So that's what Biden is doing, printing money to devalue the dollar, put us into poverty, and create stagflation.
And we're going to be needing to be bailed out by someone. I'm telling you, it's coming.
And the last quote I have by Jefferson: we in America do not have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate. Now, this is crucial. It is crucial for everybody to get involved. We need to vote in the primary. We need to vote out the swampers who are bringing us down.
You know what I've been doing this week? I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, right? And it's people going up to supposed, asking people who they're going to vote for during the election. Is it going to be Biden or is it going to be Trump, right? And most people are saying, "Oh yeah, no, Biden. We hate that Trump. We hate that Trump," but they don't know why they like Biden. Okay, so the interviewers were giving them quotes, and they had to decide who the quote was from. Was it from Trump or was it from Biden? And they were all deeply racist quotes and just nightmarish, right? And each one of them said, "Oh, no, that's got to be a Trump quote. That's a Trump quote." They were all Biden, all of them.
Yeah.
And people just don't know who they're putting their faith into. You have to do some educating. Find out who these people are. You voted in a senile old man and a cackling hyena who doesn't know anything. There's a problem, guys, and we have to we're the only ones that can change it.
It is astonishing to me that they have not yet invoked the 25th Amendment, because Biden is clearly mentally impaired.
Yeah, that's
one of the problems is that our media is corrupt, and they are doing a disservice to the United States, which is intentional, because they are indebted to the deep swamp.
Yeah.
The deep swamp are unelected or entrenched individuals who are controlling this country. And we need to take her back. This upcoming election in November will determine whether we have a chance at taking America back, or whether she crashes and burns and we erupt into civil war, because there are a lot of people out there who just are not going to take it. The sheeple will take anything. They'll continue to drive in their cars wearing masks and gloves.
And those sheeple are the ones I was just talking about. They don't know what they're voting for. They don't know what is really going on. They read headlines only from the supposed media, and it's all wrong. It's all just doctored and made to look like this is the way the world is. It's not the way the Republicans say or the right wing says. It's nuts, guys. We got to stick together. We got to rise up and let them hear our voices.
And for all my listeners, let me ask a favor of you, that you share this broadcast so we can get the word out to as many people as possible to vote to help us take America back, because she's worth saving. And it's going to be us old people who are going to take up our arms if we can't take America back.
Yeah.
And so getting back to, again, the politics, which is affecting medicine.
Hey, Corinne.
The globalists need this so-called Great Reset. And what is the Great Reset? It is about global depopulation. It is about green energy. It is about keeping us cold in the winter, hot in the summer, and it is about us eating dandelions, and no beef for protein. So this world economic disaster event was engineered specifically to bring down the US dollar and cause an inflationary crisis in multiple nations.
Yeah.
Then they step in to fix it. Remember what Jefferson said about not trusting banks? So this is World Bank's trying to establish a world economy and crush America. Now, America was completely energy independent, and we were bringing back manufacturing to be economically independent, and Biden has crushed that. We are now dependent on foreign nations for supplies, oil, gas, which is making us vulnerable. So that's why this next election will determine whether we can fix America or whether we doom her.
Oh my
The
God. Did you see this? Our girl Liz, she went to the market the other day and there were almost no eggs. Costco is limiting purchases of eggs. Guess that's the next shortage. Did chicken go on strike or something? Yeah, right.
right.
Because
Well,
if there's an egg shortage, you know a chicken shortage is going to be coming up real soon, like quickly thereafter, I would think.
well, I guess we need to all run to Tractor Supply and buy a bunch of chickens.
Yeah.
They will. They're not hard to keep. If you need advice on how to keep chickens, Mother Earth has books and papers on how to do chickens in your backyard, and they will lay eggs.
Yeah.
So, and fresh eggs are incredible.
This is where we're at, folks. Like these extreme situations that we have to do, raising livestock in our backyard.
Well, yeah, bring back, this is Harmony Salon. Hi, honey. Bring back the military and sign them 2 per school. Yeah, well, our military has boots on the ground in Ukraine. The American people did not vote for that, but again, charity and safety begin at home. We need to reopen the oil and gas leases. We need to start manufacturing again. We need to do all those things.
Do you remember when Biden said about the troops, when he was talking to the troops and he said, you know, you're going to see this and you're going to see that, and then they wheeled it back the next day. Oh no, we're not sending troops in, not at all, or anything like that.
They're already there.
They're already there.
So we don't want a war with Russia. This should have been negotiated down. It would never have happened if Trump was in the White House. He was the duly elected president. And this was specifically stolen by the globalists because they couldn't have brought America down with Trump at the helm. I don't care what he tweets. He was great.
He was great.
So currently, I have it many years ago. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody go get some chickens. There won't be an egg shortage. Currently, the federal government has the power to punish states for objecting to the federal power grabs. Now, remember, so the example of that is Biden versus DeSantis. DeSantis refused to mandate Francines. So Biden responded by refusing to distribute monoclonal antibodies to Florida. He was punishing American people and threatening their health because he was going to,
he was the little bratty kid on the street that said, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to take away my playground ball and you can't play with it anymore.
So continuing the civics lesson, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution authorizes the states to establish laws and regulations protecting the health, safety, and general welfare of their citizens. So Joe Diaper, it is the states who regulate medicine and public health policy within that state. Biden refusing to send the life-saving medicine was a clear abuse of federal power. He doesn't have that power. Similarly, Roe versus Wade is not the decision coming down was a constitutional decision because health is not a federal issue. The NIH and the CDC did a power grab, which was unconstitutional. Health and safety belong to the states. So for abortion rights or non-rights, that's a state issue to be determined by each individual state. If you don't like your state's ruling, move. But it is not within the purview of the federal government to regulate that issue. Similarly, the practice of medicine is a privilege granted by the people of the state acting through their elected representatives. What happens when we can't get our script? Well, there will always be private pharmacies who will supply the medication. As for medication not produced in this country, I don't know what to do about that. We need to be producing it in our country. That's what Trump started to do.
It's just how have we come so far with our civilization in this country, where we can't be self-sustainable? Like why we're getting 30 or 40% of our fuel from Russia, even now during the Ukrainian conflict.
And they want to get it from Saudi Arabia, who's pissed at us because we want to allow Iran to get a nuke. And we're going to get it from Venezuela, who's corrupt and their oil is dirty. And this guy Biden has got to be kicked out of office. Of course, then we get the cackling hyena. But
so
we've got to
we're handing out nukes to folks now?
So the Biden wants to restart or has restarted the Iran nuclear deal, which is just a roadmap for Iran to get the bomb.
Yeah.
Iran wants to use the bomb on the little Satan and the great Satan. That's Israel and the United States of America. So Saudi Arabia is also opposed to Iran getting the bomb because Iran doesn't like Saudi Arabia either. Saudi Arabia was our friend when Trump was in office because Trump said to them, Iran is never getting the nukes. Iran is getting nothing. And Saudi Arabia felt safe. They feel unsafe with Joe Biden as president. And so when he says to them, I want to buy some oil, they say, I got 2 words for you, and they're not happy birthday. So I spoke to you last week about the WHO trying to get a global power grab to have the power to declare pandemics and vaccine passports and all kinds of stuff. And it is the 10th Amendment to the Constitution that protects us from that WHO globalist power grab. And that power grab is to leverage public health to compromise the sovereignty of the United States. They are not our friends. And it's interesting that the WHO and the World Economic Forum conducts courses, classes, and they educate certain people in how to behave. More about that in a few minutes. So our individual rights are protected by the United States Constitution. Biden and certain members of Congress who have been paid by globalists are trying to take those rights away. Again, treason. There, under the past few administration, there have been an erosion of states' rights to monitor and control federal elections, even though that control is guaranteed by the Constitution. We still don't have an election result in Pennsylvania. So how do we get Pennsylvania to obey the federal government? You probably have to eliminate Philadelphia. It is a disgrace. We still don't know who won in Pennsylvania. And how are they going to doctor that election?
Right.
We know from the movie 2000 Mules that there were 1,100 mules in Philadelphia alone to doctor the election. So Liz says if we get nuked, it will be by missiles with tech given to China by Clinton, funded by Iran with money Obama gave them, and warheads developed with uranium sold to Russia by Hillary Clinton, but Trump's the traitor. That's a really,
That's
really
a really
good
great
summary.
statement there, Liz.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Clinton Foundation received $145 million for selling 20% of our uranium stores to Russia. So Russia can turn around and threaten us with nukes, even though we threatened him with diseases and destruction. That's why Russia is suing Biden, Clinton, and Obama for developing these biolabs on the border of Ukraine with Russia to make the Russian people sick. So, as I said before, the CDC and the NIH overstepped their federal powers by creating financial incentives within hospitals and promoting misdis and malinformation and propaganda. The CDC alone spent over $1 billion on ads for their policy of what they did during the pandemic. Again, public health policy belongs to the states, and so not to the CDC and the NIH. And the only way to fight them is to be willing to walk away from federal funding. Florida can do that because their economy is so strong and it's open. But states like California, New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all those, and New York, coincidentally, all the states that killed senior citizens in nursing homes are cozied up with the federal government to get money to screw their constituents. It would really help.
Business as usual in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would really help to have a free press. I mean, these little podcasts now, like me and the real ones, I mean, I'm real, but Joe Rogan and Steve Bannon and all this stuff, these are the places where you can get the truth. The lamestream media is there to lie to you and keep you suppressed. And these politicians, they can never be rich enough. Look at Tony Fauci. I mean, he's got money hidden. He's got money this. He's got money. He's the highest paid employee in the federal government. And he has amassed a stockpile of hundreds of millions of dollars.
We got Barbara Ann from YouTube. She's saying she loves your shirt, Doctor. Would love to know where you got it.
I would tell you if I knew, but I think that about a year ago, Mort ordered a shirt. I don't know if he keeps ordering them or they come on their own,
like
again,
a subscription,
like the Harry Potter invitation to Hogwarts, which
flying through the chimney. Yeah.
So they just come in the mail, and they seem to be right on target.
Right.
And so what is sad is that the United States federal government has been intentionally infiltrated by globalists trained by the World Economic Forum. And these people are insidiously undermining our Constitution. And yeah. And
Jeanette.
Yes. Jeanette says 2,000 mules to elect one jackass. Yes.
You guys are on fire today.
So, and it's sad because this was done by the people who hate America. And these globalists want a fascist, totalitarian world government.
That's just a mouthful to say. Can we just not live happily? And that's enough.
They don't want us to live free. And an example of one of their graduates of their courses is Justin Trudeau,
Oh my
the
God.
emperor to the north, Fidel Castro's love child, because his mom was friendly. He was trained by the World Economic Forum. Oh, by the way, you know who else was? Chelsea Clinton. Watch her rise because, I
Oh,
mean, Hillary might
please.
make another play for it in 2024 because the Dems have nobody.
Hillary needs to sit on a porch and start knitting.
But no, that's what common people do.
Yeah.
The fact is, until we get the election straightened out, and Pennsylvania is one of the key states, this is not going to work. So Justin Trudeau, what did he do? He froze the financial assets belonging to political opponents. Talk about fascism. And that was done in this country to people of the January 6th parade. It wasn't an insurrection. There were no arms. The only person killed was Ashley Babbitt, because as you know from last week, right, it's okay to kill people on the right. Ruby Ridge, Waco, Ashley Babbitt. You can't kill lefties because they're okay, but it is okay to kill someone who wants freedom. So, but this financial jeopardy or it's sort of like enslavement. That explains, as I have said week after week, why physicians haven't spoken up. They are deeply indebted due to student loans. And by the way, you know, the student loan forgiveness, it does not apply to physicians. They can't get out of it. They got to pay for it. So they have an obvious conflict.
So they're covering the tuition for people
Who studied basket weaving.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So we've got all of these morons who didn't make smart choices when they were deciding what their major was going to be, and but the ones that have actually went to school for an altruistic mean, you know, like to help people and you know, save people's lives. No freebie for you.
No, but it's more insidious because you know that guy who said never let a crisis go to waste. You know, Tony Fauci has been looking for a pandemic for years. So he finally created one with the help of the Chinese. And all of this was a step in the Great Reset to enslave people and cause so much fear that they were willing to give up freedom for safety. Now, and in the end, if you give up freedom for safety, at the end of the day, you have neither. And people were so brainwashed into thinking that the iris was such a threat to health and life that they buckled down. This was the first time in the history of the world that healthy people were quarantined, and people absolutely went crazy. And they still are.
They still are. We're treading dangerous water just talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So with the doctors, they had to comply to all the suggestions and mandates and everything, or go bankrupt. And I can tell you, bankruptcy is not pleasant. It's a scam. Everybody makes money except the poor dumb bastard who had to file. And that's because our courts are corrupt. The U.S. trustees who manage these businesses in bankruptcy are corrupt. They're liars and cheats and basically criminals. It's terrible. So the doctors and scientists who stood up were essentially financially independent or not receiving a paycheck. And that's the only way it could be done. So that's why the hospitals have bought up most of the local businesses. They're in cahoots with the insurance companies. The insurance companies delay payments to private practitioners or give them reduced payments or have them fight to get every single payment, while the hospitals are raking it in. They raked it in with COVID at the same time, decreasing the quality of healthcare. And it's a sad state, but they need that control of healthcare to continue on this transition to global totalitarianism. And that's why the doctors are key in this plan. So that's why they cannot have those loans forgiven, and that's why they have to keep these doctors enslaved.
I met a really great, really nice surgeon and his wife this week, and unfortunately, this guy is coming from like a Rothman type place, that conveyor belt type of medicine.
Yep.
And he started to describe to me how awful the Rothman thing is, right? Where you don't really have patience. You get a phone call and they tell you you have to give this person a shot or this person a thing, or so you go in and you don't really even communicate with your patients. Really, you do your thing and then you go until you're contacted again. So it's like they're sending out these wires, and it's almost like they're hiring people just come in, do that, and then leave.
Well, that's modern medical care is fragmented.
Yeah.
As my very brilliant daughter would say, pieces of your medical care are outsourced. So if you go to
that's good. That's good.
Man, she's incredible.
Yeah.
So if you go to a doctor and you've had an X-ray, in general, the doctor doesn't look at the X-ray. The doctor looks at the radiologist's report. And the radiologist issues a report without ever having to look the patient in the eye. So, and then it turns out that these young doctors, even though it's their specialty, they don't know how to read the X-ray.
Right.
So,
and you wouldn't believe by how many doctors there don't know how to read an X-ray, don't know how to read an MRI, don't know how to read all of these things. It's mental.
Yeah. So I didn't understand that until it affected me personally. But let's talk about going to a breast center as opposed to me.
Yeah. Someone going to a good doctor.
So once you go to a breast center,
yeah,
you become, like a little rat in a maze, and you go from station 1 to station 2 to station 3.
Yeah.
And so even if you went there with a complaint of an ingrown toenail, you're going to get a mammogram, and then another mammogram, an ultrasound, maybe an MRI. And of course, you're going to get a recommendation for a needle biopsy.
Oh, boy.
So then you go see the employed breast surgeon who says you need a needle biopsy because the radiologist said so. Did the breast surgeon look at the X-rays? The answer is no, because the breast surgeon doesn't know how to look at the mammogram and the ultrasound. And I always suspected it, but it came home to roost this past week. And so I thought about medicine, and I was talking to my daughter about it. And she said if someone asked her to do research, she would do the research and not assign it to a staff librarian. It's her job. She doesn't outsource. And these doctors who are allegedly specialists taking care of a patient don't really offer an alternative opinion. So when someone comes to my office, I say, you need to bring your films. Do you know that some people argue with my office staff, my wonderful office staff, Tracy and Susan?
I haven't seen them in a while. Yeah, they're really wonderful people.
And so some people argue with that, and they say, well, here's the report. Well, it's not good enough. How do I know what that radiologist knows? How do I know if the radiologist even looked? How do I know that the radiologist wasn't responsible to read 100 X-rays that day? So they didn't look at the past. And it's really easy to say, oh, there's something new. Thank you,
Right.
Corinne.
Corinne says, at a breast center, you are a number. At Dr. Schneider's office, you are a person.
So they send the patient has a mammogram, and then of course, then the diagnostic mammogram, the ultrasound, and it's a recommendation for needle biopsy.
Mm.
So they come to me, and I ask them to bring prior X-rays, and I look at the X-ray, and it's the same thing has been there and unchanged for 3 years. So why do you now need a needle biopsy unless the hospital is short of revenue? And no one else checks. No one else cares. It's just, yeah, you're a number. You're not a person.
Yeah.
And then
it's funny how the corporate mind decides that that is the natural state a doctor's office or a center should be, where it should be, okay, move to the next cubicle, you move to the next cubicle,
well,
go over there and they're going to check you and blah, blah, blah,
there's no money in cure. All the money is in testing and procedures.
Yeah.
So there's no incentive to say, hey, this is really okay. We don't need to do a needle biopsy. Let's repeat the ultrasound in 6 months. There's no money in that.
Yeah.
The money is in
when we
the
talk
needle.
when we talk about these needle biopsies, the one thing that always springs to my mind is that story you told me about a poor woman couldn't speak a lick of English.
With
And-
this.
Right.
Yes.
And her chest, when they do needle biopsies, they leave like a little metal rivet
clip
in there to mark where they were. And you said her chest was riddled.
She had 5 clips in the right breast and 2 in the left. And I looked at this and she came into me because there was a recommendation for another needle biopsy.
Right.
And I thought, holy Toledo. And the fact is that there's money in them, our needle biopsies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money.
And when you get a lady who can't speak English and she's just, the only thing she does know how to do is say yes, and shake her head at you.
But the thing is, for a woman, the only thing scarier than being told you have something in your breast is being told there's something wrong with your child.
Yeah.
So they get you by fear, and they tell you, and when the patient says, should I get another opinion? The radiologist says, no, you don't need another opinion. This is minimally invasive. And minimally invasive, they have to make an incision in your breast with a scalpel because we're going to put in a garden hose to do this needle biopsy. And thank you, Corinne. So the thing is that it's a scam. Healthcare has become a scam, and there are a few of us standing up for our patients, for their rights, for their mental health, and to prevent unnecessary procedures. And doctors like that are dinosaurs. Doctors who learned how to read X-rays because it was for the good of their patients are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Doctors who just take someone else's word for it is what new medicine is all about. And so I ask you all again, can you trust your doctor? I mean, when we make America great again, I hope we make American medicine great again. We were the best in the world at everything, and
now
we were brought down by everybody from Bush 1 on.
We're laughable now. That's what we are.
We're a third world country.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's just going to get worse unless we get Biden out and restore America. And I hope we last long enough for the once and future president to come back into power. So,
the great MAGA king.
Ultra MAGA.
Ultra MAGA king. Yeah.
And
not an insult, incidentally. Yeah.
And so before I close, I just want to let you know that so Tracy said, then if the patients do don't do what they're told by the X-ray facility, they get bombarded by all sorts of calls and certified letters and threats and everything like that.
Yeah, here
And
it is.
So it's really
Hate mail.
terrible. So here's the thing: if you need me, and I will be there. I'm at 9 Hospital Drive, 732-244-2060. Usually I can help.
Yeah.
I'm the best at the breast, but if you have something else, I can help you. I have wonderful staff. They will help you as well.
Mm.
And if you have a
More-
foot problem,
Well, if you
Dr.
if you have a foot problem or anything in the lower extremities, a wound that looks a little sketchy, don't keep it to yourself. Go to Jersey Shore Foot and Leg Center and you can find out more at jerseyshore.footandlegcenter.com. And for this amazing woman sitting across from me,
So I have a website, goseebarb.com.
that's it.
I'm on Facebook. I do want to say something about the amazing pain doctor, Dr. Gabriel Jasper, who also looks at x-rays and figures out what's going on.
He knows how to read them, MRIs, he knows how to read them.
I can personally testify to his talents. And so for Faith and Hope, my final quote of the day is from Galatians, and it says, "And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart." So,
see, Angie Bell here said you helped her family this week, and she's forever grateful.
You're
No,
welcome.
thank you, Angie.
You're welcome.
I'm so glad she could do that.
So, do not lose heart. Keep the faith.
Yeah.
Let's get out there and save America. And so this is Dr. Barbara Schneider signing off for this week. God bless you. Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and America. Be free. Love America.